The NYPD is investigating the accidental firing of a police officer's weapon at Columbia University on Tuesday night. The incident occurred inside Hamilton Hall, which was being occupied by protesters at the time. The officer was using the flashlight on top of his firearm when he unintentionally discharged the weapon. There were no protesters in the area where the shot was fired, and no one was hurt. The investigation comes as we are seeing a growing number of police departments called in to break down encampments on college campuses. The NYPD cleared out protesters at NYU and the New School this morning. Overnight, police clashed with protesters at Portland State University after protesters occupied the school's library. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti. He is on campus at the University of California, Los Angeles. And Jonathan, just yesterday we were talking about the mass police action to break down the encampment on campus. What's the situation there today?
Yeah, as you can see behind me, it is a calm morning here on campus. The protesters were cleared out early yesterday morning. The encampment, which was set up on the quad behind me, was dismantled in the afternoon. Overnight, no protests materialized here on campus. And this morning, there is an increased police presence. You may also notice there aren't a lot of students milling around because all in-person classes were canceled today. They were moved online. All of this standing in stark contrast to, of course, the images that we saw unfold live on television just over 24 hours ago when 1,000 or so protesters, pro-Palestinian demonstrators, came face to face with law enforcement, which was called here by UCLA. When all was said and done, 210 people were arrested, many of them students, some of them faculty members who, in speaking to them, told me that things were relatively peaceful until police arrived on scene. And this morning, the chancellor facing calls to step down because of that decision to call in law enforcement.
Jonathan, I wonder, just from your vantage point there in California, do the president's remarks yesterday, coupled what we have seen from police, the action taken across the country, seem to signal a kind of shift at all in these protests?
I think that's correct. I think the president's statement, and then when you look at the increased police presence on so many campuses, it speaks to a shifting nature and tone in these protests. In some cases, on some campuses, we're seeing more violent protests erupt, and then there are renewed fears and concerns that those violent protests are being fueled by outside bad actors. A perfect example, perhaps, may be looking at New York City, where officials said nearly half of all of the protesters arrested on campuses throughout the city had no affiliation with the campuses and the schools that they were protesting at. What that speaks to, what their motives may be at this point, is too early to say, but it certainly does touch and highlight the struggle that campuses are facing as they try to support free speech while also at the same time protecting students and staff.
All right, Jonathan Vigliotti. Jonathan, thank you.